Good evening, everyone. So exams are coming up, guys. How are you guys doing? When do you have your exams? Can you tell me quickly when are the exams coming up for you guys? Whoever is present in the room, I see lots of students. When are the exams coming up? In February, of course. So you have about, the way I'm seeing from the dates, you have about 30 days on an average to go for your final exams. On an average, about 30 days. So today we are going to discuss amazing revision tips and strategies which will help you ace these exams, right? So for Knowledge Planet students, what we're going to be doing is every week I will do a short session with you all. I want to do a short punchy session with you all where I will discuss some really important strategies every week until your exams, so that we keep these strategies in mind and we can ace these exams, right? How many of you are feeling overwhelmed? How many of you are feeling stressed out? How many of you have this fear that, oh my God, my exams are coming up, I'm not adequately prepared, I could have done more, I should have prepared better notes, I should have attended more classes, I should have solved more problems, I should have listened to my KP teachers, I should have listened to my school teachers and done this, done that, etc. Do you have these sort of fears? Yes? Stressed? Yeah. Alright, so guys, first of all, I have seen a lot of students turn things around in the last 30 days. How many YouTube videos have you seen of racers or runners who are lagging behind in the race, and in the last 100 or 200 meters of a very long race, they suddenly gallop and they win the race, or they do really well? You can do the same. By using the right strategies, the right planning, we are going to make sure that you guys ace these exams. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling you're not prepared enough, if you're feeling you could have done better, I promise you, if you follow some of these techniques, and you must follow all of them if you really want to do well in your exams, if you do that, you can really make a huge improvement between how you feel today and how you end up on the day of the exam. But you have to think like a winner and not like a loser, right? What is the difference between a winner and a loser? A winner, so I'll give you an example of a book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Now, some of you may have heard. Has anyone heard of this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey? It's one of the world's greatest bestsellers in the history of book writing. It has sold hundreds of millions of copies. It is one of the best books around to understand success. Have any one of you heard of this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? In this book, some of you have. Interesting, right? This is one of the best books that you guys can read as well. In this book, the author Stephen Covey talks about how winners and others are different from each other. Winners focus on the things they can control. All right? So you have certain things that you can control. Winners tend to focus on these things, and there are certain things that you just cannot control. Losers keep fretting about the things that they cannot control. Can you give me examples of things that you cannot control and you should not worry about in relation to your exams? Tell me. Okay, internal marks. The result, yes, you can't really directly control the result. So just thinking about, oh my God, result, what will be my result, it's not going to help you, right? Internal marks, yes. Whatever marks you've received till now, if the marks have not been good, if you keep fretting about that, will it help you? Can you control those marks which have already gone by? Can you control the days which have already gone by? Absolutely, you cannot control that, right? What else? You cannot control the question paper, yes. right, Anish? Joanne says you cannot control the time. Yes, you cannot control how many days you have left for the exam. So stop fretting about it and make a plan for it, right? Yeah, Nuha also says the time. Syed says the syllabus. Yeah, you can be fretting. Oh my God, my syllabus is so much. I have so many chapters to do. I have so much stuff to do. How am I going to finish? This is not going to help us, right? But tell me, these are some of the things we cannot control. These things are static. But tell me, what are the things you can control? As a winner, let's focus on the things which we can control and not worry, bother, stress out, crib, cry, make excuses for the things that we cannot control. So tell me, students, which are the things that you can control which can help you ace these exams? Tell me now. Alright, so Akhil says mindset. Yes. Hamdan says preparation. Yes, absolutely. Our efforts. Gautam says our efforts. Ashwin says our time management. Udayveer says I can control my writing speed. I cannot control those 3 hours, but I have to improve my writing speed. Very good. Your writing speed, paper presentation. Bandhav says I can control my preparation. Right? Neil says I can control my dedication. Sneha Sai says efforts and time management. Hiranmai says planning, so many things. Determination to study. Yes, Brian. Yes. Saruna says mental state. Yes, these are the things you can control. Your efforts you can control. Your motivation you can control. Your discipline you can control. Your mind you can control. Right? So, stop fretting about these things which are beyond your control and focus on the things that you can. Right? Because this is your area, this is your circle of influence. This is the circle you will control, and this circle will help you get marks, not anything outside of it. All right. So let's begin with some strategies. I am doing these short sessions with you. Like I said, it's only going to be a total of 30 minutes. So I'll cover 2 or 3 important techniques with you today, and in the subsequent sessions I'll cover the next techniques. So let's get started. Now, the first things first, do you have a revision plan in place? Do you have a revision plan in place or not? How many of you have a revision plan? How many of you know what a revision plan should look like, or how should I make one? Can you tell me? Somewhat ready. No. Most of you say no. Some of you say yes, but many of you do not have a revision plan. Okay. Right. Most of us do not seem to have a proper timetable. Yes, we need to have. Yes, Adina, very good. Tasks are listed on daily basis. Yes. Okay. I'm going to tell you how to make a revision plan. All right. Now you need to first of all decide when your final exams are. At least 10 days before that, you should have finished revising all of your subjects. If you cannot do 10 days, make it 7 days, but you need to have a deadline that by this date, I should have revised all of these subjects. You need to calculate how many days it is between today and that date. You need to know how many chapters you have that you need to revise per subject. And what you're going to do is, you can do it in a diary, you can do it on an Excel sheet. You will write down every day until that day. You could write the dates, or you could write date, and the way I like to do it is when I make my revision plan, I will write the date, but I will also write day 1, next date, day 2, day 3, day 4. So if it is, let's say, 25 days plan or a 30 days plan or a 20 days plan, I know every day counts. Every day counts. We cannot deviate from that plan because we only have a limited number of days. All right. So what you're going to do, if you have 25 days to that deadline that you set for yourself for the revision of your paper, you need to then divide your entire syllabus of all the subjects into these 25 days. All right. So you might say today, day 1, I'm going to do 2 chapters of science. All right. Tomorrow I'm going to do social studies. I have one suggestion for you over there. always mix subjects on a given day. Do not go into a marathon studying just one subject the whole day for 4 to 5 hours. You are preparing for your final exams. You have the luxury of varying the subjects. So what you're going to do is, you're going to study 2 hours of science today, and ideally, instead of putting math with the science, include a subject which is not science related. So you could have social studies on that day, you could have English on that day, you could have a language on that day, and then you go back to, let's say, a math or something else, but vary the nature of the subjects. Because what is going to happen is, your subjects are right brain oriented, some subjects are left brain oriented. If you just keep doing subjects which are more logical and less creative, your brain is going to get tired. You don't want that to happen. And that is where breaking that routine of studying a subject which is, let's say, left brain oriented versus studying a subject which is right brain oriented is going to refresh your brain and it's going to boost your learning power. All right, keep that in mind. So coming back to the point, we are going to make a revision plan every day, 2 or 3 subjects, 1, 2 or 3 chapters per subject. We are going to make a whole plan until that day. That is called your revision plan. That is the first thing you guys need to do. Otherwise, if you're just running around like a headless chicken, not knowing what to do, I promise you, you will have no control over your syllabus and you will not be focusing on the things you can control. The circle that we saw, we have to focus on the things that we can control. We can control our planning, we can control our time, we can control our strategy, we can control our preparation. Remember that, all right? So, has everyone understood this concept that we are going to make a broad revision plan on a daily basis for the next 20-25 days? Can we do this? Yes or no? Okay, let me see some of the questions that you are asking here. Okay, somebody is saying, I'm genuinely scared. Do not worry. All right, I'm here. It's okay. It's totally okay to feel stressed out, guys. Numerous research have concluded that when we are stressed out about an event, a certain degree of stress helps us to perform better. If you have to give a speech and if you're really cool about it, chances are you will not do so well than if you're a little bit stressed about it. You're going to be on your toes, you're going to do a much better job. There is proven research on this. Similarly about exams, if you're really chill, you may not end up doing that well as compared to being a little bit stressed. Being scared is not going to help you, right? Because that is something which is, you're again doing things which are not under your control. Be a winner, take action. When you take action, it removes fear, at least, because at the back of your mind, you know, I am doing what needs to be done. At least I'm doing that. I'm not just sitting there like a lazy person, like a procrastinator, like a loser, not doing anything. The trick in handling your fear is to take that first step. Start taking those baby steps and soon you'll be running like Usain Bolt. All right? Okay, so let me see if you have any questions. Sir, what about peer and parental pressure? Again, is that within your control or not within your control? External pressure should not be taken. Your only competition is against yourself. So stop thinking about others. What are others thinking about you? What kind of pressures they are putting on you? As long as you are giving your 100%, that is the only thing that you need to worry about, because that is something that you can control. All right. Do not let others' pressure affect you. So many times people play these games, students play these games, you know, they will tell you, oh, I'm doing nothing, I've not done anything, and you know, on the day of the exam, they will ace the exam. And there are so many other students who will come and tell you, oh, you know what, I did everything, I did all the questions in the NCERT textbook, then I did all the questions in the guidebook, I did all the questions in the KP book also, I practiced everything. Then when you ask them a HOTS question or a logical reasoning question or a difficult question, they'll be stumped. They'll be all blank, right? Because sometimes they're just showing off. So don't take all that pressure. Your competition is not against those students. Your competition in the final days of the exam is against yourself. Think about your goal. Think about what you need to accomplish on a day-to-day basis. Do not worry what others are doing or not, because these are the final few days where your preparation matters the most. All right? Every day there should be 2 main and 1 language subject. This is what I do, sir. Good, Bandhav. That's a good strategy. 2 main subjects, 1 language subject is totally fine. But what you can do is between those 2 main subjects, put the language subject in between, right? So you have a main, language, and then main. All set to make a revision plan. Yes, Falguni, good. Sir, is there a revision schedule that I can use starting from now? Caleb says. Now, Caleb, this is a plan that you have to make for yourself. Of course, KP teachers can help you make it. Your center managers can help you make it. But it depends on which topics you find difficult, which topics you believe are going to take you more time. For example, you'll also have to keep in mind, if you're weak in a certain topic, it's going to take you longer time to revise that as compared to a topic in which you're strong at. So this will have to be a custom made plan. Of course, you can come to the center and sit with your teachers and make a plan for yourself, right? Help them to make a plan for you. Sir, I'm scared for math. Even though I took basic maths, I'm scared, but I'm kind of confident in other subjects. All right, Bandhav, I'm going to give you a good, clean strategy for math. Every day, whatever practice you're doing, whatever revision you're doing, you're going to solve 5 good questions of maths. All right, 5 good questions of maths from the topics that you're supposed to cover from your syllabus. And one strategy you're going to use is when you get stuck on that topic. I will cover this, by the way. I will cover this strategy in one of my subsequent sessions, but quickly telling you here because you asked the question. When you get stuck on a question, you will not look at the solution. You will try it for at least 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You're going to try every single way to solve that question without looking at the solution, without taking any help. Only after you've tried every method under the sun, you've thought about everything that the teacher has taught you, and you still cannot get the answer, that is when you look at the solution. Because this process of struggling with the question will boost your mental ability, will boost your problem solving and logical reasoning skills. All right? This will boost your intelligence, your IQ. And you will start finding slowly maths easier. One of the greatest bad advices that we are constantly given: when you have a doubt, ask. When you have a problem, take help. When you cannot solve a question, look at the solution and understand the correct method. We are seriously restricting our brain capacity by not putting it through struggle. The more you struggle with questions and try to come up with solutions, the more intelligent you will become, the better problem solving skills you're going to have. Okay? Can you do this? Can you struggle with maths a little bit more, or numericals a little bit more in physics if you're struggling with those? I promise you, if you do these 5 questions a day, your performance will be much better. How to study a large chapter efficiently in a short time? I'm going to come to that. I'm going to talk to you about a technique called OATS. But give me a minute before I come to that. However, I will address a separate concern on this. Sometimes what happens is, students, we have a very long chapter and we are too scared to start it. All right, we're like, oh my God, there is so much stuff to do. How do I even start this? It's going to probably take me 6 hours to do this whole chapter. What should I do? And you never get around to starting that chapter. Okay, so what you're going to do is, some of you may have already heard about it. It's called the Pomodoro technique. All right, what is the Pomodoro technique? The Pomodoro technique is, do not worry about how long the chapter is. Break down that task into small chunks. All right, so what are you going to do? You can say, I'm going to sit down and make a start. I'm just going to do this for 30 minutes. I do not care Whether this chapter is going to take 6 hours, 16 hours, 4 hours, does not matter. All I'm going to do is study for the next 30 minutes. I'm going to study this chapter for 30 minutes. After that, I'll take a 15 minutes break or a 5 minutes break, and I'm going to come back and do this again. Breaking down very large tasks or chapters into smaller periods of time intervals or tasks can make it really more manageable in your mind, and you will not be overwhelmed that, oh my god, I have so much to cover. And that is exactly what we are doing with your whole syllabus as well. If I tell you today, revise your whole syllabus, you will be like, oh my god, how am I going to do all this? But if we do that, okay, let's break down the whole syllabus into daily study plan, it becomes more manageable for us, because now we know, okay, I can't control the whole syllabus, but what I can control is what I can do today, right? So that is super important for you to keep in mind. Now, one thing I want you to do when doing this, when making your plan, when doing your revision. So once you've made your plan, you've started your revision, there's a difference between active revision and passive revision. Okay, can you tell me what is the difference between active revision versus passive revision? Anyone? Hafsa says, when should we do sample papers and PYQ questions? I will come to that. Once you've revised your syllabus, my next session is going to be how to do PYQs and mock papers, etc., sample papers, etc. That will be my next session next week. I'll discuss that. Before that, make your revision plan and start revising. That is more important right now. Akil, you're asking me, is it okay to learn too much about a particular topic? Learning about stuff that isn't part of the syllabus? Not right now. Right now, because you are in the final race, it's important to keep your eyes on the prize, eyes on your goal. What is your goal? If your goal is to get the best marks in those final exams and you're still not confident of reaching that goal, you should just come back to that goal and do it, and do the other stuff later. So somebody says, how to develop interest in grade 12 physics. All right, look, where does interest come from? Interest comes from confidence. Okay, have you noticed this? So many times we have interest in doing things that we are good at, right? And because we are not good at them, what does that mean? We are not confident of doing those well. What happens? Our interest to do them also falls. So in order to improve your interest, you need to develop confidence in that subject. And easier, you will say, yeah, easier said than done, right? Develop a confidence. How am I going to develop confidence in the subject? How you develop confidence is by regular practice. I'm sorry, there's no easy way to do it. You have to do regular practice. If you start doing regular practice, follow the Pomodoro technique. You may hate physics, you may dislike physics, grade 12 physics, but start doing a little bit of it. Like I was telling the student who asked about math, start doing a little bit of physics every day. And slowly you will notice that your practice leads to a little bit of confidence, and that little bit of confidence will lead to more confidence. And once you start becoming more confident, your interest level will go up significantly. That's the way to do it, right? More practice. Are there any tips on how to memorize large amounts of data, especially, for example, in the case of chemistry? One short technique is making flashcards. What you're going to do is make these, you all know about it, take these little flashcards or take a sheet of paper, write down all the important formulas, write down all the important things that you need to memorize. And what is the trick? What is the trick there? Memorize it or memorize it. This is the way to memorize important formulas, things that you really need to mug up. For example, keep these little cards ready, wherein these are the things that you keep forgetting. Every evening before going to bed, take out these cards, either by choice, which chapter you want to revise, or randomly, just browse through these cards for the last 15 minutes of the day. The more you see these cards on a regular basis, the better you're going to remember that information. Alright? So make these little flashcards, notes, etc. and see them, review them again and again and again from time to time, and then you will see that your memory has become better. Okay, sir, how do I manage last minute revision, say for example a day before the exam, and what is the best way to do it? Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to do something when you're doing your revision. Like we made a daily revision plan. While doing that revision, I was talking earlier about active versus passive revision. We forgot about it. We started discussing something else. So let me finish the active versus. So passive revision is you're just reading concepts and you're just highlighting them in your textbook. So many studies have found out that is the most inefficient way of doing revision. Stop doing that, because you may feel that you are revising a lot, but your brain is not learning anything. Your brain learns by doing stuff. So if you are reading something, just take a notebook and just blurt out whatever you're reading over there. Just write down the keywords, write down the key formulas on a separate piece of paper. You may even throw that paper away. Those may not be your neat notes, but just because your brain is writing that information. So what happens is your brain is getting information from multiple sources. So your eyes are seeing that information and your hands are writing that information. Maybe you can even speak what you're reading. So your ears are hearing. The more sensory channels your brain is receiving information from, the better it remembers that information, right? That is active revision. Passive revision is when I lie down on my bed and slowly, then I pull the blanket on top of me, and slowly, what happens? I go off to sleep. That is passive revision. We don't want that to happen. This is war time, folks. This is action time. These are the final 30 days before our exams. We need to wake up, get on a table and chair, make notes, write things down, speak them out, and be an active participant in our own lives. All right? So, we got to do that. A part of your active revision strategy is what I was talking about, which someone had asked me a question, how do I revise on the last day? Revision on the last day will depend upon one very critical piece of notes that you will prepare while you are doing your revision. Okay? What is that critical piece? That is called oats. You got to make your oats. What are oats? Oats are an overview of all topics and subtopics. Okay, an overview of all topics and subtopics is what oats are. So what does that really mean? So if I pick up your textbook, every chapter you should have one oats sheet. What is that sheet? That sheet does not contain formulas. That sheet does not contain mind maps. That sheet does not contain any hints. It only contains a list of topics, and under each topic of that chapter, the subtopics, like everything that you need to know. So if you have electricity and you start with electric current, you will write electric current as a topic, and then you will say, in subtopics, you will say definition, formula, SI unit, and then you will need to potential difference, and then you will need to other topics. Everything that is important to be remembered as a part of that chapter, divided into its topics and subtopics, has to be mentioned on that 1 or 2 sheets of paper depending upon how long the chapter is. Where will this come in handy? When you are revising stuff. Whether it is your weekly revision or it is the revision one day before the exam. Imagine, one day before the exam, you may have some 15 chapters to revise. There's no way on earth you can pick up your notes or your book and revise the whole thing. And that is, remember, that's a very inefficient way to study as well. Because what is going to happen is, maybe you already know 80% of that stuff and you're wasting time on the last day going through the whole chapter again when you already know 80% of that stuff. That 80% of the time that you're spending on learning is going to waste. You need, when you have short periods of time to study and revise, you have to be more efficient. That is where your oats will come in handy. You will pick up the oats, you will go through that stuff and you will start writing. Okay, fine. Do I know this? Yes, I know this. I know this. If there's an important formula, I will write down, do I know this? Yes, I know this. I know this. That, and then you will come to a subtopic where you'll say, oh, I've probably forgotten what the definition was or what the formula was. I still can't remember it. Remember, your oats sheet should not have the formula. It should only say formula for this, but it should not mention the formula, because when you're going through your oats sheet, you're supposed to think of the formula and write it down to make sure that you know it. All right. The oats sheet will help you identify which areas you are not good at, which concepts you are still not strong at, and you can go specifically to those areas and revise those areas. So on the last day of the exam, it will help you identify these are the key points which I need to go back and I need to focus on so that I'm covered for my exam. That is how you should do last day revision. So your oats sheet has to be made for every single chapter as a part of your revision plan. It will not take you a lot of time, promise you. Once you've done your revision, just put together all the topics and subtopics, all the information that you need to remember for every chapter. It will not take you more than 15 to 20 minutes to make an oats sheet. All right. How many of you find this oats sheet concept nice? Can you all do this? Right, good, good. I'm glad. Yes. Good. Good, amazing concept. Good concept. I'll surely make these sheets. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good to see. Please, you will see a huge improvement by making these oats sheet in your overall preparation. One key point. When you make your revision plan, I want to revisit your revision plan because I remembered a very important concept you have to keep in mind when making your revision plan. Remember, we talked about the daily revision plan, that you're going to divide your entire syllabus. Day 1 you're going to cover this, day 2 you're going to cover this, day 3 you're going to cover this. Now, important thing to remember is your brain remembers or memorizes information better when that information is repeated to it. If you do not revise what you have learned within 24 hours or within 1 week, after 1 week, more than 80% of that information is going to be forgotten by your brain. You do not want that loss. You've spent all the time memorizing, and just before the exam, when you come to revise that chapter, it seems all new. What just happened? I did this a month back. Now suddenly it feels like I don't remember it, because you did not do regular re-revision of those concepts. All right. So what are you going to do? You're going to do repetition. When you make your revision plan, you will make a study plan for, let's say, 6 days. And on the 7th day, you will keep no plan to study. On the 7th day, all you're going to do is you are going to revise whatever you have learned in the last few days. You could do it every 4 days. You could do it every 6 days. And you can use your oats sheets to do this revision as well, or you could use your notes to do this revision, right? but you're not trying to learn everything from scratch. You're just browsing through that information, because this constant revision every few days will come in very handy just before the exams, because your brain will retain all this information better. All right, cool. So let me see if you have any quick questions before I wrap up today's session. How long should I be studying for every day? Marilyn, that's for you to decide, because you will, once you make your revision study plan, you will know how many chapters you have to cover on a daily basis. Your target should not be time based. This is an important point to remember. Your target should not just be time based, your target should be goal based. Your target for, let's say, day 1 should not be I have to study 3 hours today. Your target should be, as per my plan, I have to cover these 3 chapters today. Now, whether it takes 2 hours or whether it takes 5 hours, at the end of the day, I'm not going to go to sleep without finishing these 3 chapters that I'm supposed to finish. As simple as that, right? So, in the final days of the exam, do not be focused on the time spent to finish the activity, but finishing the actual activity is what is important. Sir, when I sit to revise on the day of the exam, I feel extremely blank even though I have studied everything. So yes, one of the best ways to do that again is to regular repetition of your syllabus, like I just discussed with you. Keep doing that so that you're not blank, and do active revision, not passive revision, which I have said earlier. If you're doing active revision, you will remember concepts better. Satvik, I'm just seeing your question marks. I've not seen your question. Beta, can you please tell me again what was your question? Okay, sir, our practical board exams are going on, and then we have, pre-boards going on, and then we have practical exams, and then we have very less time for boards. What should we do then? You got to do what you can do, all right? Again, these are the things you cannot control. These are outside factors, but at the end of the day, you got to decide how much time do I have, and then try to do as much as possible within that plan. So you have to make a plan which addresses that. Guys, this is the final lap of the race. Even if it takes forgetting everything else, you got to do it. So I know it's not easy for many of you. I know times are tight, but then that is the situation for everyone. This is what is going to separate the winners from the rest. And if you really want to do well, we have to find a way to do it, right? So divide your time, see if you can improve your efficiency, see if you can focus less on some areas and more on the other areas, etc., and try to be more efficient. Sir, what if we aren't able to meet the day's goal of studies? Do we add it up the next day? Very good question, Royden. It will happen, right? We do mess up. Shit happens. Some things go wrong, right? There will be days when you will not be able to stick to your plan. There will be a day when somebody comes home, a relative comes by and mama says, no, you have to spend half an hour, 1 hour with the uncle. They've come from such a long distance, or something goes on, right? You're not well, or family needs your help, whatever, something happens, right? It's okay. If it happens once in a while, once in 7 days it happens, it's okay. If it's happening more than that, if it's happening 3 to 4 times a week, that means there is something wrong with your motivation. You're not putting in enough effort. But if it happens once, it's okay. Move the plan to add up the plan to the next day, but finish the next day's work first before you start doing the previous day's plan, because otherwise you will start a huge backlog of your entire day, of all the days, right? Keep that chapter. Once you finish the next day's work, then if you have time left, then you do that chapter. Otherwise, keep that spillover work into a buffer. That is why you are trying to finish all your syllabus 10 days before the exam. So if any things are still left over that you've not been able to finish, if you've not been able to stick to your plan, you can cover off those things in those days as well, right? So that is the buffer that you can do. All right. What is better, digital notes or handwritten notes? Depends on the exam. If your exam is going to be handwritten is better. If your exam is going to be digital, you can go for digital as well. But there's so many challenges with digital notes unless If you're using a tablet and you're writing with a stylus, that is as good as handwriting. But if you're typing it out, it takes a lot more time to write down formulas and everything. It's a waste of time, right? So better to write things down. Whether you write it on a notebook or you write it on a tablet, that is using a stylus, that's totally fine. Okay, guys, we have overshot the time. Lovely questions from you guys. What a wonderful participative session. I love all the questions that you guys have asked. I cannot cover all your questions today, but I promise to cover more of your questions in my next session next week with you all. Next week, I'm going to do a session on how to do mock papers and previous year questions. What is the best way to prepare for exams using mock papers and previous year question papers. What is the strategy over there? And that is one strategy which can really help you boost your marks in exams. All right. There are lots of, the standard way is you just solve as many mock papers as you can, but that's not the most ideal way. You can be more efficient. You solve some, you review some. That's just a hint of what is going to come in that paper and how do you review, how do you solve, and all the other things that you need to do to ace your exams. But by the next session, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to have made a proper revision plan and start executing that revision plan. All right, in the different techniques that I've shared with you, and start making your oats sheets as well. All right, great guys. Remember one thing, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a small step. We have to start taking that step. Do not worry about so much syllabus, such few days, so many exams going on, so many practicals going on. We got to do it because it's our life. Whose life is going to affect if we don't do this? Our life, nobody else's life. My teacher is bad, my sister does not allow me to study, there's too much disturbance here and there. Does not matter. Ultimately, it's my life. Whose responsibility is it? Mine. So let's do it. Let's ace those exams. All right. God bless you all. See you guys next week. Thank you.